All right, everybody, welcome back. Good afternoon. Got more edge rushers to take a look at. We're down to the low end starters now. These are guys that are going to be more reasonably priced, somewhere in that $5 to $7.5 million a year range. They're going to be okay. They're going to provide some good plays, but got to know what you're getting into at this point. You're getting guys that are not really going to change the game. I don't even know if they're really going to be plus players. They're going to be players that do their job and occupy a roster spot. So, pretty good. You can find good stuff here, but understand that edge is one of the most valuable players positions in football right now. So the guys in this range, 5 to 7.5 million, I mean that's you're going to get what you pay for in all likelihood, because if they were better than that, somebody would offer them a lot more money because of the nature of the position. So just three guys I want to look at. Chauncey Golston. Chauncey Golston, another Cowboy who may be departing this offseason, like Odigizua, who we talked about a couple of days ago. And he's obviously not on that level. Just turned 27 a few days ago, though, so should be entering his prime. Former third round pick. He's been mostly just kind of a reserve, just kind of a mediocre reserve player. 2024 was a breakout year, but it was also a contract year, so you know, proceed with caution. These guys that break out right before they're due for a contract, who knows what they're going to do once they get the contract. But 5.5 sacks on a team that wasn't even particularly that good. You can't really say that he was a product of playing with Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence and Odigizua, because those guys missed a decent chunk of time in 2024. Parsons missed a good chunk. DeMarcus Lawrence basically missed the whole season. So in their absence, he did okay. Nothing too radically great, but given the fact that he's about to turn 20, or just did turn 27, he's probably about to come into some big money, bigger than this production might expect. PFF said he was slightly above average last year, 65.3, and it was almost 800 snaps, so he probably played too much because of injuries. Golston, I don't think he gets up to 800 snaps or almost 800 snaps if he isn't filling in for injured Parsons and injured Lawrence. Year before that, though, on 300 snaps, the grade was not really radically better or worse. It was in the same basic area, slightly above average. So there's reason to believe this guy could be good in a good defense with proper load management applied. Likeable enough, maybe worthy of a starting job, but it's not great. Spotrac gives him 3 years, 22 million, so that's 7.3 million per. I mean, that's it seems like a lot. It does feel like a lot, but given the nature of the position, it's really not. It's actually probably just about right. So, would you do 3 years, 22 million on Chauncey Golston? Maybe. I kind of feel like he would be kind of get lost in the shuffle almost. I feel like he would just kind of bob around in our rotation, and he wouldn't really separate himself or really do anything to like stand out other than just be a player. And while he is a veteran and there is value there, I wonder if you could get something similar in the fourth round of the draft. You might be able to. Derek Barnett would be our next guy up here. Somehow Derek Barnett's only going to be 29 this season. It seems like he's much older than that. I feel like he's been around forever. First round pick of the Eagles the year they won the Super Bowl in 2017. Spent a long time with Philly before heading to Houston in the middle of the 2023 season. He's continued to grind out a good, respectable career, but he has never risen to that Pro Bowl level that he teased in that first season. That first season, 5 sacks, part of a defense that eventually went on to win the Super Bowl. It seemed like he was going to be a superstar at some point, or at least a star. Never got there. Never did better than 2019, 6.5 sacks. He's still good. 5 sacks last year for Houston, but he only started one game, so he's not even really a starter at that point. And there's kind of a ceiling here. This isn't Golston. Golston could be better down the line because of his youth. Barnett, I would be very surprised if he suddenly reveals that he's a 12 sack a year guy. That just seems relatively unlikely to me, but still in his prime, still a pretty good player. PFF likes him. 2024, they gave him a 74.6, which was very high up among edge rushers in the league, but it's not even 400 snaps. So you got to understand what you might have to do to get the best out of him. 390 snaps across 17 games. That's what, 25, not even 25 snaps a game. So you definitely have to make sure you handle him the right way. The year before that, his PFF grade was elite, one of the best in the league, 15th out of all edge rushers, almost 200. But again, 319 snaps. That's not even 20 snaps a game. Now, I know he didn't play all 17 games, but the point is this is a guy who is best in moderation, and if you do sign him, it's going to be good to recognize that. And that's fine by me. If he provides high-level play on limited snaps, we certainly have room for that. But it also means that in the event of an emergency, you might not be able to comfortably lean on this guy to play 50 snaps a game. And you, of course, you don't want that, but you know it's possible. Players get hurt, players get injured, players miss time. Anyway, Spotrac gives him a 1-year deal, which I wouldn't be surprised if he gets multi-year, but I think they have the general gist of what his next contract could be down in terms of value. 7.1 million a year, so 1 year 7.1 seems about right to me. He's a decent enough player, good track record of success, but he's pretty well defined, I think. I don't think there's any sense that Derek Barnett is going to suddenly turn on some kind of a switch and become even a Pro Bowl caliber player. Last guy for this video is going to be Dante Fowler Jr., another former Cowboy, although he spent last year in Washington, followed Dan Quinn. And I think we know a pretty good amount about this player from his time in the NFL. 10 years ago, he was the 3rd overall pick, expected to be a superstar. Didn't happen. Now he's going to turn 31 in the offseason. His days are coming to an end, right? He had a real good season for Jacksonville back in 2017. That was the Saxonville defense, if you guys remember that. 11.5 sacks with the Rams in 2019. Real good season. And then last year, 10.5 sacks for Washington. So every 5 years, he just explodes and has this awesome season, it seems like. And between there, it doesn't quite work from 2017 to 2019, but other than that, he just has been a pretty unremarkable player. He's been good, but the 2 years he spent in Dallas, he did not start a single game. He was a rotational piece, and in 2023, he didn't even do a ton. In Atlanta, he was just a marginal player. So every now and then, he pops up and reminds you, hey, I could be really good at this, but I can't always put it together. He has been at least available the last 3 seasons. He's played in every game, but at his age, about to turn 31, probably not going up, right? I imagine the double-digit sack season in 2024 was kind of the last hurrah, and now he's just going to settle into being like a low-end starter or even a role player. But still got something good left to give. PFF didn't love his 2024. They put him in the top 100, barely. About average for edge rushers on 560 snaps. And the year before that, on the Cowboys, he was, again, average on not even 300 snaps. So if you get this guy and you start him and you play him 40 snaps a game, you're probably not going to like what you get. But if you get him as a rotational piece, or maybe a starter that only plays 25 snaps a game, he can still do good stuff. He can still get after the quarterback. He can still provide pressure. He still can offer good things. It's just a matter of understanding what he is at this point. He's not that 3rd overall pick anymore. He's something very different, something that is still valuable. Spotrac says 3 years, 15.5 million, 5.2 million a year. So it's a little bit of a step down from Barnett and Golston, mostly because of his age, I would figure, which makes sense, right? I'm not jumping up and down out of my seat to give big money to Dante Fowler, and I don't know if he's going to get 3 years, honestly. He did just have a good season, but at 31 years old, Do you really want to be giving this guy guaranteed 2 years with a potential for a third year? I don't know. I guess he's stayed healthy the last few years. That's going to help, but that's a little bit dicey for me. I do kind of like the value. I don't know if I would necessarily want him, though, because, again, it's just one of those signings where it just feels like there's downside. And there are definitely some positions where, in some situations where I'm willing to live with the downside. It feels like you're buying high, right? The guy just had 10.5 sacks. It definitely feels like you're buying in at the high point and you're going to end up holding a little bit of a bag. Although I will admit, if he is really signing for $5.2 million a year, that's pretty reasonable. All right. Let me know what you think of this crew. A couple more Edge videos coming later. And see you guys then. Go Hawks. Everyone have a good rest of your day. See you guys soon.